A woman waving a dagger. This is a necessary survival skill in the apocalypse. In order to resist the saviors, the residents of the hilltop actively participate in training, refusing to live under anyone's enslavement. Jesus and Maggie are studying the terrain of the savior's lair. They must know their enemy well. Days pass one by one. Maggie's prestige in the hilltop has reached its peak, making Gregory extremely uncomfortable as he feels his power slipping away. Daryl, after leaving the kingdom, has also returned here. It's just that this tough guy feels he can't face Maggie because in his mind Glenn was killed by his recklessness. On this day, a figure appears, and it's Rosita. Rosita has come this time to seek Sasha's help. Unable to wait for Rick to find guns outside, she's ready to call on Sasha to join her in avenging Abraham by assassinating Negan. To avoid affecting Rick's group's plan, Rosita didn't bring the previously dismantled bomb. Instead, she took one of Sasha's expert sniper rifles. By finding a good location near the Savior's lair, they hoped to get a chance to kill the tyrant. They made up their minds at once and never thought of coming back alive. Sasha doesn't tell Maggie about this matter but instructs Jesus and Enid to take care of Maggie and leaves an unfinished bracelet, a gift for Maggie's unborn child.
I'm doing what you asked.
After making all the arrangements, Sasha starts packing up and preparing to leave. Just then, an alarm sounds outside.
The saviors are coming!
Daryl and the others can't let the saviors see them. Sasha and Rosita don't plan to hide. Instead, they use the chaos to leave the hilltop through a tunnel Sasha dug. Daryl and Maggie also find a place to hide. If the saviors see them, both communities will be in trouble. Eventually, Daryl and Maggie have no choice but to hide in the cellar, hoping that these people are not here for a sweep. The saviors are led by Simon, and Gregory enthusiastically greets them, acting like they're long-lost friends. Today is not the day for the hilltop to make offerings, but Simon has come to take someone. The saviors' base lost their doctor, so they want to take the hilltop's doctor, Harlan. Harlan doesn't want to leave, but he has no choice.
But we're not here to take more of that. Congratulations! You're moving up in the world. Negan wants you where he is. You're coming with us.
Meanwhile, in the cellar, a savior comes to scavenge for supplies. Daryl initially wants to kill him, but Maggie stops him. Fortunately, the man only takes a couple of baskets of supplies and leaves. After they left, Maggie asked Daryl, since Glenn's death, Daryl has been unable to forgive himself, believing that if he hadn't been reckless, his best friend would still be alive. This has caused Maggie to lose her husband, and her unborn child has lost a father. Throughout their journey, Rick's group has become like a family, and Maggie has never blamed Daryl. They only have one enemy, Negan. Outside, Simon comes out with Harlan, and the residents know he's being taken away. As they watched, they cursed the savior's impudence in their hearts and strengthened their resolve to resist. Rosita and Sasha rush to a residential building, where they find a car that should still be usable. Rosita cuts a hole in the wire fence and smashes a nearby car window, then throws in some gasoline she had with her to start a fire. The commotion attracts zombies, who begin to gather around. Rosita and Sasha quickly sneak in from another direction and start a car using a special method.
Get in!
2 hours later, they arrive in a building opposite the savior's lair. From here, they can use the sniper rifle to observe the scene outside the main gate. As soon as Negan appears, they can take the shot. To Sasha's surprise, she sees Eugene there. He seems to be doing well and is even giving orders to others. Since Negan isn't there, Sasha decides to holster her gun to avoid being spotted. She tells Rosita about the situation. Rosita was stunned and finally relieved that Eugene had been taken because of her. After a while, Rosita looked down with her scope again, and there she saw Eugene, commanding the two people nearby. However, Negan still didn't show up, so Rosita and Sasha could only continue to wait. They sat together, chatting and passing the time. A little while later, Sasha resumed her surveillance. This time, they heard some noise and the sound of a car coming from below. When Sasha saw Harlan, the hilltop's doctor, she couldn't help but curse. Those bastards had brought Maggie's doctor here. Finally, Negan emerged, presenting a great opportunity for Sasha. She focused her attention, preparing to take the shot, but Dr. Harlan turned out to be in front of Negan. Sasha didn't dare to make a move. They were too close. There was a risk of accidentally injuring Harlan, not to mention that failing to hit Negan would reveal her position. Moreover, Negan was holding onto Eugene, making it even harder to take a shot. In the end, they had to watch as Negan went back inside. At that moment, their handheld radio started to transmit Eugene's voice. Eugene was giving orders, and from the tone of his voice, it seemed that he held a significant position within Negan's group. Second only to Negan himself, Eugene commanded the Saviors to capture a batch of zombies and repeatedly instructed his subordinates not to disturb Negan. Eugene said to report anything directly to him, and Eugene claimed that he was also Negan. Rosita and Sasha cursed under their breath. It seemed like Negan wouldn't come out for a while, so they had to change their plan. Since Negan wasn't coming out, they decided to sneak inside and kill him. Later that night, Eugene was still commanding his subordinates on how to deal with the zombies. Suddenly, he was frightened and crouched down, holding his head in his hands. Rosita and Sasha rushed over, quickly breaking the wire fence and comforting Eugene not to be afraid.
No, I'm not going with you.
Eugene turned away, showing that he didn't want to leave this place. The position he held here was something he couldn't let go of. Rosita cursed under her breath. It turned out that all the things Eugene had said about becoming a survivor were just nonsense. However, Rosita couldn't dwell on that now. Their primary goal was to get inside and kill Negan. Soon, they cut open the wire fence, and Rosita prepared to enter as quickly as possible. At the breach, Sasha took a closer look and asked Rosita to keep watch. The hole in the wire wasn't big enough, and they needed to make it larger, just as Rosita was on alert. She didn't expect Sasha to enter the compound and lock the door behind her.
Go. It's not your time. There's gotta be a point to it, right?
Rosita was furious. She was the one who brought Sasha here, and now Sasha was acting like this. Rosita still wanted to enter, but soon someone came out of the building. Gunshots were coming from inside. It seemed that Sasha had engaged with the people inside. Rosita had no choice but to grab her backpack and quickly escape, running until she reached another street before stopping. As Rosita felt someone was watching her, she turned around and, sure enough, someone was there. A month or so ago, Tara and Heath were out looking for supplies. Unfortunately, Heath got surrounded by zombies with no bullets left in his gun. Despite Tara intending to face death together with him, she was unexpectedly pushed off a bridge by the zombies. I don't know how long it took, but on a remote beach a little girl excitedly ran towards a figure on the shore. The best part of the little girl's day is killing the zombies that wash up on shore, and just as Rachel is about to do it, her sister stops her. A woman named Cindy. Cindy sensed that Tara didn't appear like a zombie, and upon closer inspection, she found signs of life in her. Tara had been washed up on the beach. Rachel knows that Tara is still alive and still wants to kill her because this place can't be discovered by outsiders. But Cindy was too kind to do so and told Rachel not to tell anyone. Rachel left the place in a huff. It's a good thing Tara met Cindy, because if it had been anyone else, she would have been dead. Cindy then dragged Tara to shore and put her in a cool place. Due to their community's strict policy against outsiders, Cindy couldn't bring Tara back with her. Instead, she left some supplies for Tara and departed. Cindy just left. Tara woke up. Experienced the end of the world. Tara is not willing to easily trust others. Good thing that woman seems to be very kind, should not be harmful to her. Tara took a big gulp of water from the bottle. Cindy sat on the trunk of the tree for a while and then left. Did not even notice that Tara has awakened, but Tara quietly followed Cindy. She followed Cindy through the forest for several minutes until she lost sight of her. Tara then noticed some houses and a few figures. Proceeding with caution, she continued to investigate. Tara arrived at a plaza and was surprised to witness the presence of women patrolling and attending to other tasks. Strangely, there were no men or boys around, which perplexed Tara. Trying not to attract attention, Tara observed from a distance. Then Tara noticed that on the other side of the room, two women had opened the armory. Oh my god, it's full of guns and ammo. It's horrible. What kind of place is this? Suddenly, the women seemed to have noticed something and rushed towards the arsenal. Tara was taken aback, wondering if they knew someone had intruded. Just as she was contemplating the situation, someone spotted her. The sound of gunfire came from all directions. It was so horrible that if you weren't careful, you'd be killed by the random gunfire. Tara managed to knock down a woman with short hair around a corner and quickly took her gun, ready to defend herself. Beatrice, the woman Tara subdued, wore a tense expression, not begging for mercy but accepting her fate. Tara didn't want to kill them. She knocked Beatrice unconscious. As Tara continued to escape, she encountered Rachel pointing a gun at her. Knowing she didn't want to hurt a child, Tara slowly placed her gun on the ground. However, Rachel was inclined to follow the adult's teachings and was about to shoot Tara. Fortunately, Cindy intervened again, preventing Rachel from pulling the trigger. Soon, the other women arrived, surrounding Tara. Awkwardly, Tara greeted them, assuring them that she meant no harm and had only accidentally ended up there. Natania, an elderly woman, stepped forward, seeming to be their leader. In the end, these people didn't hurt Tara, because Tara had won them over by not shooting when she could have before. As Tara learned more about the situation, she discovered that these women had originally lived outside but encountered another group of people. Those ruthless individuals killed all their men and forced them into servitude. To protect Natania had no choice but to hide the remaining women in this secluded place, avoiding contact with outsiders to keep their location secret. In fact, these women were running away from the saviors. Only Tara didn't know it at the time, and even less understood the horrors of the saviors. The next day, Natania wants Tara to stay and live with them because she is afraid that Tara will expose the place. However, Tara insisted on leaving. Natania, with a kind face, sent 2 women to escort Tara away, but what Tara didn't expect was that these 2 women were always following her. Tara is not the first day to live in the post-apocalyptic world. Already guessed that the women are afraid that they want to quietly finish her off in the woods. Tara adjusted her emotions and took the initiative to go forward to kill the zombie. In fact, she used this opportunity to escape. In this way, Tara's heart is scared to run away in the woods. After running for half an hour, Tara was still found by Beatrice. Beatrice hesitated to harm her, but they couldn't risk being discovered by the saviors, so she was prepared to act. Just in time, Cindy arrived to save Tara and led her to the bridge. Tara also vowed not to tell anyone about what happened here. With that, Tara said goodbye to Cindy and set off for home. Unfortunately, Tara didn't know whether Heath was alive or dead. Upon returning, she learned about Glenn and the others' deaths and the community's enslavement by the saviors. This was Tara's experience over a month ago. Initially, she promised not to tell anyone, but the current circumstances were exceptional. Rick and the group needed firearms for their fight against the saviors, and Sasha's fate was uncertain after her assassination attempt on Negan. Thus, Tara and the group set out early, even bringing explosives. They didn't want to resort to violence but knew they had to eliminate the saviors to be free. Soon the group arrived at this closed place. Tara led them into the woods. The operation was divided into 2 steps. Their plan involved Tara negotiating with Natania peacefully, hoping to obtain the guns without violence. The others were positioned outside with explosives as a backup plan. If the negotiation failed, they would take the guns by force, and the women here don't know a thing about it. They're still going about their lives. When Natania arrives at the house, Tara pulls a gun on her and tells her to keep quiet and sit down and talk. Cindy walks in and looks at Tara in disbelief. Tara said straight away that they were desperate and that her companions were out there. If necessary, they would take over this place and they needed to borrow their firearms to resist the saviors. After hearing this, Cindy's expression eased a bit. The people here had a deep-seated hatred for the saviors. However, Natania had developed a psychological shadow towards the saviors and refused to agree no matter what. At this point, Rick saw that Tara was not responding, so he decided to take a more aggressive approach to take over the place. However, the explosives only detonated in the distance and did not harm anyone here. Michonne also prevented anyone from approaching the armory by staying up in a tree.
On the ground now! Those hands, put them on your head. Please.
Tara also planned to take Natania and Cindy outside to meet up with the others, but Natania pretended to have a leg injury and approached her.
Cindy, stop!
Tara had no choice but to hand over the gun to them, and she said that there were no bullets inside. Natania and Cindy were surprised, but Natania was not soft-hearted. Tara was now their hostage. Meanwhile, the women outside were frightened by the bombs and ran away. Enid and others were already waiting here.
Everybody stay calm.
We don't want anyone to get hurt. Stay down and listen to what we say.
We want this to go as simply and as peacefully as possible.
Rick says as he walks away that they've made a lot of noise and he's sorry. So let's get it over with as soon as possible so you can deal with the zombies that have been attracted to you. He reassured them that no one would be hurt, and they only came to borrow some necessary items. At this moment, Natania came over with Tara as a hostage and warned Rick not to harbor any illusions and leave immediately, or else she would kill Tara. Rick wasn't buying it. and he warned Netania not to do anything rash. Michonne was also up in the tree, holding a sniper rifle, but Tara shouted not to shoot, as she did not want anyone to be hurt.
They want us to fight the saviors.
Just let go of her now. Yeah, we'll leave you alone.
This statement made the women all look at each other and finally understand the purpose of these people coming here. They had thought the saviors had come.
Tanya, put the gun down.
Tara continued, saying that they would win as long as they had their guns, whether they helped them or not. They would win. All the men and boys in these women's families have been killed, and they want to try to get revenge. But Netania was so emotional that she refused to give in, and kept persuading the rest of them not to resist the saviors, or else they would end up in a miserable situation. At this point, Michonne noticed that zombies had begun to surround them, and she quickly warned Rick to be careful. Taking advantage of this distraction, Cindy quickly knocked down her grandmother. She did not want to see any bloodshed. By now, the zombies in the woods are starting to gather.
Only!
Don't go anywhere.
Five minutes later, under Rick's organized leadership, the zombies were easily dealt with. The conflict here had basically been resolved. Rick did not harm anyone here, and with their common enemy, the others were willing to lend their guns. The situation here had come to an end, and the next step was to fight against the saviors.